Yes, people. Welcome back to GNA TV. I'm your host, Jim. Let's cue the intro.
Don't know how I'm here, and it's you that I want to need. Feel your heartbeat. Feel somewhere you're looking good. Feel your heartbeat. Feel somewhere you're looking good.
Yes, people. Welcome back to GNA TV. I hope you are all well wherever it is you may be in the world. What a crazy day of football. Eh? Frank Lampard has officially been sacked as Chelsea manager. We're gonna delve into your views and thoughts. We're also gonna bring in some top panelists today. It's gonna be a really good show for you guys. But what we're gonna do officially is just quickly share. I'm gonna share something with you guys. Obviously, we are all aware that he's now left. As we can see here, the statement on Frank Lampard on the Chelsea official page reads, "This has been a very difficult decision and not one that the owner and the board have taken lightly. We are grateful to Frank for what he has achieved in this time as Chelsea coach. However, recent results and performances have not met the club's expectations, leaving the club mid-table without any clear path to sustain an improvement. It can never be a good time to part ways with a club legend such as Frank. But after a lengthy deliberation and consideration, it was decided a change is needed and now to give the club time to improve performances and results this season." And then it goes on to say, obviously, and this is the big thing for me. When have you ever heard Roman Abramovich come out and actually write a statement about a manager? I mean, we've had so many managers in the past, and I've never seen Roman Abramovich actually have his say on it. Usually it's just the board on behalf of the board. But right now, Roman Abramovich has said, "This was a very difficult decision for the club, not least because I have an excellent personal relationship with Frank and I have the utmost respect for him. He is a man of great integrity and has the highest of work ethics. However, under the current circumstances we deliver, it is best to change managers. On behalf of everyone at the club, the board and personally, I would like to thank Frank for his work as head coach and wish him every success in the future. He is an important icon of this club and his status here remains undiminished. He will always be warmly welcomed back at Stamford Bridge. The club will make no more further comment until such time as the new head coach is appointed." Obviously, we're aware. Oh, let me get out of that. So we're aware as viewers who that person is or who it is that will be coming in. We are going to delve into that individual a little bit later on. I've got some panelists in the back that are going to join us now, which we're going to break into. So let's introduce them in first, get their views on Frank Lampard and the decision for him to be sacked today. I'm going to introduce to you first my brother, my friend, my close friend, Monster CFC. Monster, how are you, bro?
Tired. I've been doing the rounds everywhere. A lot of people telling me they want to talk about this Lampard stuff. So yeah, just tired. I feel bad as well because people feel like I've pushed the agenda in a way and things like that. I don't feel like I have. I've just told the truth, but it is what it is. We all want what's best for Chelsea, innit?
We do. Next up, who else we got here? Is someone that I'm very close to again. She's a part of the Chelsea Ladies show, which is on here right now. It is Lambs. How are you?
Hello.
How you feeling?
Smile on her face, man.
Oh my god! Do you know what? It's so weird because do you know what? I woke up and I had so many notifications on my phone, and one of the most recent ones was from Jem, and I opened that one up first, and he was just like, "Oh, he's gone," and I was just like, wait, what? And then I instantly knew what everything else was about, and I've just basically kind of been following the news, switched on Sky Sports. Monster, I was watching your stream earlier as well.
Yeah.
We're gonna delve into everything today. We're gonna start with Frank, and then we're gonna start with Tuch. I've got some formations that we broke down. I've broke down in the background of what I think Tuch is gonna do. We've got a special guest also joining us today, a guy that's actually been on my show already. He's in the name of Alex, who's known on Twitter as the Euro expert. Alex, how you doing, my bro? You all right?
I'm doing very good. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you guys. Nice to meet you, man. Lambs and Monster. I wish it was under less nuclear circumstances, but nevertheless.
Euro expert, Alex, tell us. Obviously, tell the viewers and tell Monster and Lambs who you are and what you're about, bro. So people know.
All right, so I'm going to come into this topic from a bit more of a European perspective. We know the guys coming in is Thomas Tuchel. Been following his PSG team for a couple of years now, and I know at the moment there's quite a lot of emotion surrounding Lampard, but I think it's going to be a very, very bright future for Chelsea with Tuchel, but might be a bit more of a debate. We'll see a bit later on.
Yeah, exactly that. And to be fair, just so people know who you are and what you do, mate, tell us, like, what's your background?
Sure thing. Okay, so I'm, like I said, come from a more European perspective. I'm studying basically nearly every other league in Europe, watching 10, 15 fixtures a week, making thousands of notes on them. I think you might have seen me on Twitter because I'll get a couple of threads go around and then you'll see a 30,000 page document, 30,000 word document of notes that I've said, yeah, this is where I've got it all from. And people have gone, you're an absolute madman. Why are you doing that? But you'll see, you might have seen me from that and also different things like Content to Aspire and a couple of podcasts, but now mainly on here.
Wicked, bro. Wicked. Right, I want to delve into the main news. Obviously, Lampard's gone. Quite a shock for me personally. Just before we carry on, there's 41 of you here. Please like, subscribe. Yeah, smash the like button, people. Keep sharing, retweeting. We appreciate your support. Monster, obviously, done a show earlier yourself. The news on Lampard leaving. Did it shock you? Was you surprised?
No, because like I've told you as well, I had already heard about it from Thursday. So someone had told me about it on Thursday that he is getting sacked. There's nothing he could do to get his job back, blah, blah. It was over. So this news, I was thinking to break it at the time, but I thought if I broke the news, people will just send a lot of hate my way, blah, blah. So I'll just wait until the journalist said something and then I'll do a video on it. And that's what I did. And now people can see exactly what, we weren't playing when we said Lampard had to pick it up or else he's out of there. Do you know what I mean? The board don't care that it's a legend or whatever, blah, blah. They care enough to make a statement, but they don't care enough not to sack him. Do you know what I mean? Sounds very harsh, but this is the reality of things. This is a results business. Do you know what I mean? They didn't spend 250 million pounds for nothing. Do you get what I'm saying? They spend it for a reason. They expect Chelsea to uphold a certain standard. And unfortunately, Lampard wasn't upholding that standard. So and unfortunately, he lost his job because of it.
Yeah, I hear you. And Monster pretty much said everything that's in my mind, to be fair, on that one. But Lambs, obviously, you woke up out of the blue, you look at your phone, you're like, whoa, what's going on? Like, how do you feel about it now? It's sort of settled in your mind.
To be fair, again, like, to pretty much echo what Monster said, I'm not really too surprised because we all kind of did see this come in. You're not going to hear news about Chelsea talking about replacements. Fact of the matter is, after the Aston Villa win against Newcastle, we're now 9th. We're just, we're halfway through the season. We're 9th in the table after spending 250 odd million. It's just not good enough. Expectations were raised considering that the board backed him, the chairman backed him, and we've not progressed, we've regressed. So we saw this come in. I mean, especially in the last two performances against Fulham. I don't think we would have scraped that win if it wasn't for the red card. I think maybe we would have got a draw. Fulham might have nicked it in the end. And obviously we all saw the disappointing Leicester performance as well. Going into the Luton game, because obviously we'd heard that they're probably going to give him Luton, Wolves and possibly Burnley to try and save his job. But really and truly, those are quite big games, especially Wolves, and we can't really underestimate Burnley, especially after their performance against Liverpool. And we need to be picking up points. We're halfway through the season. If we're going to try and save our season, now's pretty much the time to act. I did think they were going to wait until maybe after the Wolves game, probably not the Burnley game, before they announced that they were going to sack him. So I was a bit shocked, especially because we did see I wouldn't say it was a spectacular improvement, and with all due respect, it was Luton, but we did see a better performance from the players yesterday. We saw him change the formation, and again, we were discussing, Jem, that it was a Tuchel type formation. So he's implementing the formation of his possible replacement.
Lambs, do you think yesterday's performance was a better performance? I don't know. I don't think it was.
No. Okay, I wouldn't say it was a better, but considering the recent performances that we've seen, like, we're not just sitting here saying, oh, there's only one player that looks like they want to play for the club, like the other players don't really care. We're sitting there highlighting good performances from Tammy Abraham. Ziyech stepped up. Emerson did a good job. Mount and Gilmore were pretty solid in the midfield. Timo Werner, it's a shame about the goals, but he looked bright. He looked better. He looked brighter. He was running into positions, making runs, passes, cutbacks. The little dummy he left for Pulisic, which he should have done better. So we're sitting there complimenting better performances from players, so we can see that they have the potential. And under a better manager, we can see it. We can see better performances, as we should, because we do have the squad.
Yeah.
So.
I hear you, Lambs. I hear you. Dan boy, welcome to the show, bro. Hope you're good. How did you feel about it all? Because I remember when I texted you earlier, you was like, whoa, what's going on as well? Like, as if you didn't even know about the news until I sort of told you. What's your thoughts on it all? Was it shocked you as well?
Do you know what? Why I was shocked was because it came after a win. That's why I was shocked. I mean, I woke up at around like 8:30 this morning, and I wasn't on my phone. I was actually upstairs. My phone was downstairs, and then come to my phone maybe an hour, 2 hours later, and I seen this blown up in it, group chats and people messaging me and calling me and whatnot. I wouldn't want to echo what's been said already, because I wouldn't want to repeat what's been said already. But in terms of just the sacking and how it went down, I think what we need to remember is a lot of Chelsea fans haven't been able to separate the sentimentality and the assignment. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's been the biggest issue. That's been the biggest issue with the fan base in terms of Lampard. Look, we're fans at the end of the day, and what comes with being a fan is the biasy and the seeing things through rose-tinted glasses and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, when we're trying to analyze things and when we're trying to be realists about it, it wasn't good enough. The job wasn't good enough. And just like Pep Guardiola said, he said all that project stuff, all that a plan, all that we want to build for the future, it's nothing without results. And at the end of the day, there were certain checkpoints that Lampard had to hit, regardless of whether he had a project and regardless of how much time he was promised. There are still checkpoints that you have to hit. There are still objectives you have to hit. And if you thought about the objectives that must have been set for him at the beginning of the season for January, it wasn't to be in 9th place. And that's for sure. It was not that. Do you get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, whether you're an analyst at Deloitte or Goldman Sachs, whether you're a computer technician at Dell, whether you're a policeman, your job is all performance-based. You get promotions based on your performance. You get your criticism, you get your queries based on your performance. And at the end of the day, Lampard's performances haven't been good enough. So
it's
sad, but it's deserved if we want to be honest.
I agree, bro. And one of the things that was quite touching for me is obviously Roman Abramovich coming out with an official statement directly to Lampard to address the fans and everyone else as well. I don't think I've ever seen him do that, ever. So for me, it shows that he's still got a lot of respect, which we should do. Let's not forget, Lampard is a legend of this club, and he always will be, and we have to remember that. Yes, it's been unfortunate in terms of the performance levels, in terms of the results and stuff that he's got out of the season and stuff. So it's a shame as what it is, but it is what it is. There's 53 of you here right now. Smash a like button. Appreciate the support, guys. Alex, tell us, bro. Frank Lampard. I mean, when we last spoke about this, we was talking about maybe ways of how he could probably get the best out of players and what he should be doing. Now he's obviously gone. What are your thoughts on it, mate, overall?
I think Dan though was hitting on is hitting on my larger perspective, which is this whole appointment has been based more on emotion than logic. And that's not just from the fans' perspective of the anger from the fans, even Frank Lampard's. I'm not sure if anyone's read the Athletic article today, but in the summer, Frank Lampard apparently was known to by his coaching staff. If it was any other job, he would have quit there and then. But just because it was Chelsea, he stayed. The appointment itself wasn't the ideal scenario. Some board members were against it, but it was seen as a perfect way to unite the fans. And then recently, it has been just you can't call for Lampard to go out because he's a club legend and things like that. And it all feels a little too emotionally driven, where it does need that element of like there's a lot of criticism to Roman Abramovich at the moment that he's been ruthless here, he's been heartless, you're sacking the club legend. But Roman Abramovich doesn't really care what the fans think in that. He's looking at numbers, he's looking at his business. He's thinking, if I don't make top 4 this season, Chelsea loses this X money. So at the end of the day, he's not going to care so much what he thinks of the man if it's not bringing the results on the pitch from Lampard. I think one thing though, where Lampard's getting mocked quite a bit at the moment, I do feel sorry for him in terms of apparently after the Leicester game, he was going around the dressing room, shaking players' hands, thanking them for efforts and saying it might not be long after. So he's clearly been brewing for a while. And it's a bit telling that the moment he leaves, these journalists from The Athletic and The Telegraph have a 3,000 word long piece detailing everything that went wrong there. So clearly it's been bubbling under the surface for a while. And he might, who knows, he might have found out about this on the front page instead of being told by Marina.
I mean, remember,
Go on, Dab.
Even on Monster streams, like we spoke about what Simon Johnson was talking about on TalkSport, and I mean, he had a lot more to say that he didn't say. So, of course, we knew this was bubbling for a long time, and really and truly, what it was, including the Leicester game, if he didn't have an upturn in form, like Oli and Arteta kind of had, it was always going to happen. The writing was already on the wall, and really and truly, let's think about that Leicester game. That Leicester game, I don't even think there were positives to take out of that game. That game was like hard to watch as a Chelsea fan, and kind of similar to when Mourinho got sacked after the Leicester game, and he said his players didn't play for him. He said his players didn't play for him and whatnot. So, like, it's just telling really that the same things that happened under AVB, the same things that happened under Mourinho, I think Lampard had those same feelings with his players, and yeah, man, it's unfortunate. Again, I still think people on Twitter need to be careful with the idea that it's all ruthless. Look, there's nothing wrong with being sad about him being gone. I mean, I said he's out of his depths. I said I don't see the plan going forward. I don't see how we're going to get out of this. However, it doesn't take away how much it hurts. I wanted him to be the guy to win us the league, for example.
Yeah.
Look, go on, Alex. Go on.
I was going to say, I think Lampard's left at the perfect time in terms of it was just starting to bubble over into where his legacy wouldn't be tarnished, but they wouldn't remember Lampard the player, remember Lampard the manager. Like after the thing with Liam Twomey over the weekend, where he came at him really, I think needlessly. I think right now is the perfect point to leave, where he's still remembered as a club legend, and it didn't quite get into the sour spell Mourinho, where, I mean, if I remember Mourinho at Chelsea, that last 3 months of it really sticks in my mind over the trophies won.
Yeah, I agree. Look, for me, and it's not new for us as Chelsea fans. We're used to this ruthlessness from our board. And when I heard the news this morning, I didn't really feel much emotion to it, if you know what I mean. Like Lampard going, I haven't felt any emotion to a manager leaving since Jose Mourinho first left when we first won the trophy. It was in his second season. Since then, I've had no feelings towards any managers. So when people say Chelsea fans have got emotions, there are probably some out there because Frank Lampard was a leader and legend, and they look at him as a player overall more than anything else. But it is what it is. You know, life moves on, and Chelsea are the kind of team that if it's not working, doesn't matter who you are or what you are, they will sack you. If they're not happy, they will sack you. We're the most ruthless club in the Premier League when it comes to doing that, and we've been successful with it as well. Yeah, it's a killer in terms of all what's happening. That, but Monster, you knew this was on the cards a little while ago, didn't you? From what I've heard, you knew this was coming.
Someone had sent. They showed me the details and everything, and showed me that he was getting sacked. It's inevitable. So yeah, I did know. But like I said, I didn't want to be the one to break it because I didn't want the hate that would have come with it. Because you know how some of these Chelsea fans
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
As
yeah.
Daniel was saying,
Of course.
the sentiment part of it, it would have just been just too. I just couldn't be bothered to do the back and forth. Do you know what I mean? So I just thought, you know what? Let me just wait until the journalists break it, and then I'll just talk about it in it. And you know, I guess even if someone didn't tell me, I think we all knew this was going to happen.
100%.
Oh
We
yeah.
all knew this was going to happen. Didn't even like when the person had told me, I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Do you know what I mean? It didn't come as a surprise to me. But you're not really telling me anything new. I think we all know this is going to happen. Blah blah. So what's the point? There's not even a point in telling me. I know this
Look,
already.
my biggest question to all of you guys is, he's now gone.
Yeah.
Was it the right time to do it? Was it the
Yes.
right time to do it? Or do you think even bringing in someone like Tuchel, which we're going to tap on a bit later with all of yous, do you
If
not think bringing him in
anything-
now? Do you not think bringing him in now may be a bit of an issue in terms of adjusting and trying to get the best out of players halfway through a season? Do you not think that's a bit of too much pressure to be putting on someone to now go, right, you're here, get us to top 4, you need to make the system work?
I'm
If
pretty sure
anything-
Tuchel. Go on.
If anything, I kind of yes and no, in the sense where I think for me he should have gone before now. I mean, it was clear to see from a long time ago, and I'm talking we're almost at the end of January now. I'm talking about 2 months. From 2 months ago, we've been seeing the decline in the performances. We've been seeing. And you can even argue there's some periods in November and there's a few games, especially the games that we've come into against the top 6 sides. The way he's set up, it's been so cagey, like the game against Manchester United, the game against Spurs. Why weren't we going for it? It's almost like he was playing for a point. So instantly we kind of saw the regression in the attitude of Lampard. He wasn't so... He didn't want to attack these teams and play them like he did last season. And then from the back end of November, we could just see the decline in performance. There was just no creativity. Players weren't putting in performances. And you can even question Lampard's decision-making, where it's almost like he's trying to utilize every single player in the squad and keep them all happy. But in doing so, he's making wrong decisions, playing players out of position. He's getting his tactics wrong. He's being stubborn about his tactics, not refusing to change. You know, this constant 4-3-3 formation, we can see that we're not getting any creativity out of the team. So to be honest, I feel like he should have gone for me maybe after the Arsenal game, given time for a manager to come in, because 7 points out of 24 points is shocking for a team that of our quality, of our squad depth. We should be up there with United, with Leicester. We should be competing. We should be putting pressure on Liverpool, we're not.
But my question is that, should we be doing that this season, Alex? Do you think Chelsea should be competing this season, bearing in mind they spent so much money on revamping the squad?
Not expecting to win, but at least putting pressure, basically.
Yeah.
I think it's like a catch-22, to be honest, because if you put any other manager in, you'd expect them to do better with the squad. But at the same time, it's unfair to sack the manager you have for not doing better with a squad that you've given him. Like, in the terms of, like, to go from saying, okay, well done for getting top 4 in the FA Cup last season, so now go and win the league, is a bit harsh. I think in terms of if it was the right time or not, I kind of agree with you, Lambs, in terms of ideally it would have been the right time for him to go after Arsenal, but that's with the benefit of hindsight, I guess. Like, after Arsenal, that was the third loss in quite a lot of games, and I know it just followed the Wolves and Everton loss. And I guess if they'd sacked it then, it's all about the message they send, right? If they sack Frank Lampard after 3 losses, every other manager in Europe goes, what am I meant to do then? If I lose 2 games, I'm out the door, aren't I? So it was a really difficult one. But I think especially today, this week, it's really, really harsh and on Tuchel to come in. But although I do think for Chelsea, apparently after Leicester, they were Even Abramovich was scouting out agents, trying to get a new manager in. They went to Nagelsmann, he said no. They went to Ralf Rangnick, he said no. And they're just trying to finalise Tuchel this whole time. So maybe they didn't have as much of a choice as we think.
I hear you. I'm just going to read out a quick message from Max. He says he's not happy with the decision. Yeah, things were bad, but a bad spell is not the end of the world. It's football. It's football. It happens. And before people jump down my throat, it's my opinion. No opinion is invalid. And the thing is, there's a lot of, before actually we do that, let me just jump on because Carefree Lewis is here as well. He's going to join us. Carefree Lewis, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, what are you guys saying? It's been a long day, hasn't it?
Oh, tell me about it, bro. Tell me about it. Very long day.
It's not even 3 p.m. yet.
Yeah. When I wake up, I can't lie. Chelsea got me out of bed early today.
Wait, before Lewis, he's gone.
Go on, Dan.
I thought the last time I saw you, your hair was low. Now it's
lockdown season, man. It's peak. It really is. By May, it's probably going to be up to here or something. But yeah, Lampard's gone. Like, we wanted this to happen. I've been saying it on other streams as well. I'm not going to sit here and try and mourn or cry or have this different emotions to what I already have. All due respect to Frank Lampard, the legend, and Frank Lampard, even to an extent, the coach, because I said as well, Frank Lampard could leave at any point and he would have left as a good transitional manager. He would have left the club in the perfect position for a new manager to come in and actually take us to a really good position. And in 5 years' time, we'll look back on the Frank Lampard reign. We'll probably look at it in a better light than we do right now. But as of right now, manager had to leave. Like, the way we were playing, the form that we were in, the game's coming up as well. If we didn't sack him now, we would have sacked him at a point where we were suffering even worse, and it would have been even harder to try and turn the ship around. So I'm not going to sit here and cry about it or send for Roman like half of the Yadar lot are doing, which is absolutely embarrassing. I think this is the right move for the club. I think this is the right move for Frank Lampard as well. Like, you can't sit here and tell me that he won't come back in 10 years' time and it'll be a much smarter and more experienced manager that could actually take us to the Premier League and Champions League trophies, because he's a manager that's capable of that. But he would have taken Chelsea to that within the space of 5 or 6 years. And we can't afford that sort of time, especially with the squad that we have right now. Werner wouldn't be here still. I mean, to be honest, with Werner's form since he's joined us, he probably would have been absolutely mudded by that point. Kai Havertz probably wouldn't be at the same level he is. He would have still grown, but probably wouldn't have been nearly as good as he would have been under a better manager. And now we've got Thomas Tuchel coming in, who is 3 times the manager Frank Lampard is, and he's coming in at the halfway point of the Premier League season as well, with a very favourable run-in for the next 6 games. Say what you want, be suffer as much as you want or mourn as much as you want for Frank Lampard's departure. I'm excited. The second half looks so exciting right now.
One of the things that I said before you just come on, I said to everyone here, I said, as Chelsea fans, we've got to the point where we don't have any emotions anymore in terms of managers coming and going, because we're used to it. We're used to seeing managers go out the door. It's a normal factor for us. You know what I mean? A lot of people were saying, oh, you know, there's a lot of Chelsea fans that are you know, struggling with emotions because it's Frank Lampard. Not me, and I know certainly not you guys as well. But look, at the end of the day, people have got to separate the player from the manager, and that's the clear message I keep trying to say to people at the moment. But it seems like there's a lot of people out there that are still very upset. I read a stat on Sky Sports: over 68% of people didn't want him to go. Chelsea fans. They've done a poll.
Yeah, but same way, you can get me the exact number of people that voted, and I guarantee that's not even 1% of the Chelsea fan base. So
yeah,
it's definitely a madness.
At one point, it was even more. It was like 71%.
Yeah, I want to see the people who voted, because I bet they're all Lampard in. Like, if you ask 100 people who are Lampard out whether they think Lampard should stay or not, you get 100% Lampard out. I don't mean the fan base is 100% Lampard out.
Yeah, but that's what it comes back down to, like what we were saying, like we as fans, look, if fans want, and that's why even when I had my stream, we spoke about it and we broke it down. I don't argue with people who say they're Lampard in. Like, I genuinely understand why you would think like that. It's just that I don't think there needs to be an expectation for every fan to be sentimentality over results. Do you get what I'm saying? And for me personally, as a Chelsea fan, like I've said, and I said it from the West Brom game when we drew 3-3, I said I'm a Chelsea fan first, innit? And what I expect to see from my team is producing the best performances and producing the best results. And we weren't getting that with Lampard. Let's be honest with ourselves. Like, when was the last time we saw our team play excellently well? And on top of that, like, when was the last time we put in a performance where we were so confident in the progress that was being made? Like, the stats against us are terrible. I mean, we beat Sevilla's second team, as people say, at 4-0. We beat Crystal Palace 4-0, and we beat Leeds 3-1. And Burnley, if you want to throw that into the hat as well. The fact that we have no wins, like, I broke it down to you, Jem. 4 out of the 10 against the top 6, the traditional top 6 last season. We won 4 out of the 10 games. This season we have 0 out of 5.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
Yeah,
it's
just to hop in there. So just hop in there as well. Like you're talking about the results. Well, I think when you said that statistic, Jem, about the amount of people who wanted Lampard to stay, and I think there's a lot of people outside Chelsea who think it's really, really harsh that Lampard's gone. Yeah. It's because when you look at the results on paper, it does look harsh. It's like, okay, he's gone on an unbeaten run, then he's had a small slump and he's gone. But I think all of you guys will attest to the fact that watching Chelsea has been really turgid at points this season. It's literally, you start at the back, it goes wide, it crosses, it gets knocked back out, you go back inside, go back out wide, cross, and it goes straight back out. It's horrible to watch. And I think even Lampard was kind of seeing that. I remember last season, his press conferences were actually really intelligent. He'd say, I think we need to work on our press and different things like this. And then I think most press conferences recently, especially after the Leicester game, it's the players aren't given enough energy. They're not given enough tenacity. And it's just kind of like feels like it lost a lot of tactical drive, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. And look, we're going to move on from Frank Lampard and talk about the man that's meant to replace him below. Welsh one's here. He says, question for the panel. Was Tuchel your first choice? I'm going to go to Monster first. Monster, was he your first choice as a replacement for Frank Lampard?
No, I think it's very well known. My first choice was Ancelotti. I kept saying, I want Ancelotti, I want Ancelotti, I want Ancelotti. But I also said at the same time, I said I would take Ten Hag, I would take who else? Nagelsmann. But I said with my only reservations with Tuchel is his relationship with, in the past with his boards, whether it's at Mainz or it's at Dortmund. Obviously, I know the situation at PSG. It wasn't that he was a bad manager. Actually, he was a very good manager at PSG. It was that he had fallen out with Leonardo. I think he was the technical director at PSG. They had fallen out, and because of that, Leonardo got rid of him. Not based on how good he was doing as a manager or how bad he was actually doing quite well at PSG. It's just his relationship with boards tends to deteriorate, and we know our track record with our board and managers not been great as well. So I'm just hoping they can somehow make it work down the years, innit? I think as a manager, as a coach, he's very good. He's very good.
Yeah, fair enough. Lambs, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, to be honest, when people were talking about, okay, if Lampard gets sacked, who would you bring in? He was the first name that kind of came to mind. If I was talking about an ideal manager, I'd probably have to sit there and think about it. But at the time, I was thinking, okay, what manager is available that's a proven winner, has experience, can deal with the current squad that we have right now? And he was the one that came to mind, especially given after PSG fired him not too long ago. At the end of the day, the guy took them to a Champions League final, and they lost very narrowly to an excellent Bayern Munich team who have just been scoring goals against teams for fun. So, and okay, fair enough, they've got a squad of quality players, but so do we, right? And I do feel like his formation is his style of play is good enough to unlock the potential in Timo Werner, in Kai Havertz, in all of these signings who rival fans, who the press, the media are saying have gone missing. I feel like he does have the potential, to be honest. He's worked with Thiago Silva, he's worked with Christian Pulisic when he was at Dortmund. So maybe he could be the guy who can finally get him going again. So to be honest, that is, he wouldn't be my first choice, but he'd probably be my second choice, to be honest. My first choice, I'd probably go for consistency. If I was going to go for like really consistent performances or really great attacking performances, I would probably have gone for Allegri, Tuchel, and then Nagelsmann will be my third choice.
Wow, fair enough. Fair enough. Mixed thoughts here. Lewis, what are you saying, bro?
Yeah, Tuchel is definitely not my first choice. Half the reason why I kind of understood where the people who were Lampard in were standing at was I wasn't really sure what interim manager you could get that was out there for 6 months. But same way with how bad our form's been, it's got to the point. I think it's the same thing for Chelsea where Tuchel wasn't their first choice. But the way this season's going, we better make him our first choice. We better just make it work. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about Tuchel. I'm going to back him the same way I back Lampard, I back Sarri, I back Antonio Conte. I always back the manager until I see a point of no return. So I'm going to back Thomas Tuchel as well. He's a flexible manager who can change his formation based on the teams that you play. That is literally one of the biggest things that we've been complaining about the last 3 months. So, yes, I'm going to take Tuchel for exactly what he is. Is he the perfect manager? No. He is a much better manager than Frank Lampard is. So, no complaining.
I hear you, bro. And you said you couldn't have said it any better, actually. I pretty much agree with everything you're saying. And that would probably be my thoughts on it as well. I always back every manager. And even when Lampard was there, I was the same. I was backing him. Like, even though he wasn't doing well, I still show support. And to be honest, I don't know much about Tuchel. I haven't watched him enough to actually have
Neither do I.
a fair analogy to say he's going to be good. So for me, it's kind of just sitting back and listening to some of what the Chelsea fans have said about how good he is. But Slen's talk says, as a Chelsea fan, we shouldn't expect a long-term project from Tuchel. He might come in for 3 years max, but as long as we progress, this is a very good group of players, we will be fine. Danny, what's your thoughts on it, bro?
Yeah, same with the panel, man. He wasn't my first choice. I think he was higher up on my list than others. I have watched Tuchel and I followed him for quite a bit now. The job he did at Dortmund and especially at PSG, I think he was a little bit underrated because when I look at the Ancelotti and the Unai Emery squads as well, they had much better. I think they had better squads than, even though of course you had Neymar and Mbappe, and that is like the best players in the world. But Ancelotti and Emery had better squads, and he's the only one who got them to a Champions League final. So he needs to be given some credit in that regard. I do like the way he plays football. I think he can get Chelsea playing in a way that is much better than Lampard's. I think the problem I had with a lot of people in terms of the Lampard situation is that I was more than willing to back Lampard if I could see what he was trying to do, how he was trying to play, and then back that style, like live and die by the style that you want to play. But the problem with Chelsea for so long was we didn't even know what we were playing. We didn't know whether we wanted to be defensively compact and resilient and then counter-attack. We didn't know whether we wanted to have possession of the ball and kind of bore teams to death like tiki-taka and Man City do, and then they literally lose concentration and you can penetrate. Like there was no style there, and that was the problem. I think my first choice, if I'm honest, it's surprising, but my first choice was Pochettino. Realistic choice anyway. I think for the monster one with Ancelotti was definitely like my top of the list, but I always knew that wasn't realistic, especially with how it ended previously, because I think Ancelotti is the one manager I believe didn't deserve the sack. Like he finished second after doing the double, and it didn't really make sense. But hey, it is what it is. But Pochettino, in terms of realistic options, was my first option.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. Lewis, are you a Rory fanboy, bro?
Man said a Rory fanboy. I've watched Rory's video, to be honest. The guy was tearing up on his live. That was a bit of a madness, but yeah. I know Rory. I'm calm with Rory. Me and him have no problems. Like he's had problems with a lot of people in the fan industry, which completely is his own issues. But me and Rory are fine. That's all I can say.
Cool. Alex, save you for last because this is your speciality, isn't it? Going through formations, breaking them down. What should we? I mean, who was your first person? Like, who's it you wanted to come in? And also, I want to talk about Tuchel and his formation style as well, and what we should expect as Chelsea fans. Explain it, bro.
Okay, right. I've been listening to all you guys' reservations, and it'll be pretty easy to answer them as well. I'm going to be the unique one. Tuchel would actually be my first choice. So first of all, once you said you wanted Carlo Ancelotti as your first choice, I think you're actually going to quite like Tuchel, even though he has played like in a very set way at PSG. We can get onto. He has a known quantity of building his team around his players like Ancelotti does. He looks at the quality he has in his team and builds it around. So at PSG, there's a really famous interview when he was with Rio Ferdinand, and he speaks about how he doesn't teach Neymar what to do, doesn't teach Di Maria what to do. He lets them do their thing and builds it around them. And with Tuchel, there is the reservation of his fallouts with the board. I'd just like to shed some light on that because I think Chelsea will be his test if he is going to be a Conte who just can't work with people, or he is going to be a bit better. Because at Dortmund, the fallout, I believe, originated from the Dortmund terrorist attack thing when their bus was bombed and it caused a really big fallout. The players didn't want to play. And from what I remember correctly, Tuchel wanted to have a match postponed, but the Dortmund hierarchy wanted to push through, so it caused a big divide. At PSG, it was a completely different perspective, but this is where I'm more side with Tuchel. Tuchel and Leonardo were actually on very good terms, especially going into the Champions League final. But it got to the summer transfer window, and it all fell apart. He lost Thiago Silva and he asked for a replacement, and he didn't get one. It got to the final days of the window. He had no transfers in apart from Alessandro Florenzi, the right back who's not really had a good couple of years. So he just kind of came out and said, "Where's my backing?" So he got backed with Danilo Pereira from Porto, which none of us have watched a lot. He's got the turning circle of a train, and he's not been very good for PSG. And he got backed with Rafinha of Barcelona, who's another player who's not really lit the world up. So the fallout kind of originated from not being backed very well at all, which you can make your own opinions on it. For me, I think he was right to feel that way. Well, Tuchel, the reason he'd be my first choice is because he is a top quality manager. The play he had at PSG was such a high level that I saw a comment just a minute ago that came on screen that the most you can expect Tuchel is consistent top four. No. Yeah. He can do much better with that. Under Tuchel, PSG last season, even though the league was cut short, he got 68 points in 27 games, but he conceded 24 and 27 despite playing a 4-2-2. So that's like 4 attackers and then 2 defensive midfielders. Yet he's still conceding a small number of goals. And obviously you're going to have the criticism of Ligue 1's a weaker league. But in the Champions League, he managed to master that too. They played against Real Madrid and they won 3-0, doing a similar thing, playing basically 4 up front, a 4-2-4. So he's really clever in that sense. In fact, my only reservation would be, I think Daniel mentioned it, how the team, you guys want Chelsea to change their formation based on their opponents, right? I'm going to bring that up actually while you're talking. Something that I feel, look, bearing in mind, don't take the players into consideration. I've just laid out what I think is going to be what Tuchel brings to Chelsea. And Alex, you tell me if you think anything different to that. Forgetting the players at the moment, obviously. Forgetting the players, I think that could actually be pretty similar just because Tuchel's recently worked this formation. This is what I was just mentioning about PSG. So it's a 4-2-2. And although it can look quite narrow or it might look it might look like, oh my God,
would it be more like this, Alex? Would it be more like that? Would it be more like this if he lines? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
So it would be.
Would he be lining up like that?
So you've got the forwards like Werner and Giroud in the right places. They would be what he tends to what he did at PSG. He would have one striker dropping deep, so that would be a bit more like Giroud. He'd be the link man, right? So helping set up play from deep. So when Chelsea played their 4-4-2 against Leicester and every player was up front and 2 players at the back and no one was in the middle, Giroud would drop deep and fill that gap. Pulisic and Ziyech, they would take on the Neymar and Di Maria roles. So what they have the freedom to do is they would be all over the pitch in the central space. Their job is just to come deep and set up possession. And what you would see as well is And what you would see as well as the fullbacks, Chilwell and James, they would be pushing a lot further forward to create a lot of depth.
So would they be at the halfway line? Would you say?
Yeah, they'd be.
Would it be more like that?
And the last thing you probably expect is it would be a bit difficult with Conte. This would be maybe a change that we see. But what Tuchel like to do was have a centre defensive mid drop back between the centre backs to provide a bit of solidity.
What Monster says all the time, sit in DM. One of the things he's always come out with, isn't it, Monster? Sit in DM.
Yeah,
Sounds like that's another thing we're going to need.
Look at Barcelona. If you watch Sergio Busquets' game, he always drops in between the central defenders. Sometimes Jorginho does it, but Jorginho doesn't have the athletic ability.
Do you think though? Because when you look at the teams that he's been with as well, because again, and a lot of what you said actually feeds into what a lot of the thoughts that I've had of Tuchel. Do you think that Kante could struggle, or because think about the problems that we've had with Chelsea in terms of our deep line playmaker and how we've been able to break lines in terms of the immediate pass. Do you think that we have that player? Because I just saw recent reports that Jorginho is someone he likes a lot, and what Tuchel has done is, I think it was either Verratti or Paredes. I can't remember who did it at PSG, but Gundogan definitely did it at Dortmund, where they'd sit in between the centre backs and be able to break lines in terms of playing that immediate ball into the link man in midfield. Do you think Chelsea have that player right now, or would we have to sign that player?
I think
probably not.
I think we don't have that player. He looked to sign that, but the thing is as well, what you're spot on there in the way he used Paredes. He'd use Marquinhos like it as well. What I think you might expect from Chelsea is a lot less shedding of the squad you might expect. Tuchel actually likes to have a lot of players to kind of use in and out. He's pretty clever in the way he uses it. For example, against Leipzig in the Champions League, he deployed Herrera and Paredes, and they worked really well, just destroying the Leipzig midfield and high energy. But earlier in the competition, he played Dortmund, and then Marquinhos just come back as a third centre back, and it works even better than just to protect them from counter attacks.
Yeah.
I hear you. I mean, looking at that, that's what we're all expecting him to do when he comes in. In terms of the players and the individuals, Lewis, would you change anything in terms of the players that are out there at the moment? Who would you say would come in, either or? Looking at that,
it's just the same thing that we've needed for a while. We just need a natural DM. I mean, whether there's been talks about turning Zuma or Christensen into that DM. If you push one of them further forward, maybe that would work. Other than that, no. I mean, I'm happy with that lineup. Like, we're talking about strongest lineup, bar the two in midfield. I think that's the strongest lineup you're going to get out of Chelsea. So yeah, but like our wingers, actually no. If we're talking on form, take Pulisic out and put Hudson-Odoi in. But then other than that, in terms of ability, I think that's the best team we've got.
The thing is, a lot of you are. The thing is, I don't think you guys are forgetting Havertz. There's no way Havertz. Havertz is not playing.
Havertz, are we putting him though?
Havertz actually has fit
in this formation.
I think he
doesn't.
I think he does.
He plays up front with Werner.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, he'd be take on the Giroud role because what I was going to say as well was Tuchel. Cool. So you might expect this formation, but Tuchel will change it to what he thinks will work, and he has. And as we were mentioning before, he's known to chop and change. In the Champions League, he would deploy a 4-3-3 when it's a bit more tougher game. He did it in the Champions League final. So what you can expect of Havertz is to perhaps be further forward, where he's been very good in the final third, but with the ability to drop deep and perhaps bring a bit of solidity into it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Ches is with us now. Ches, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I was just shocked by the news when I woke up. I wasn't expecting it. Good
yeah. How you feeling about it? Or like, how is it sort of settled in your head yet? Like, how you feeling about it?
We spoke this already. I didn't want him to go halfway through the season. I didn't want him to. I didn't want that kind of not pressure on Tuchel or the new manager coming in, Tuchel now, but I wanted him to have a full start of the season rather than coming in because he's got nothing to lose right now. So it could either go horribly wrong or it could go great. So that's why I didn't want him to leave halfway through. So right now I don't really feel upset because I wasn't emotionally attached to Lampard because that just stops you being objective. So I just feel like in the middle I just feel impartial. Like, I just want to see how well he does, innit?
I hear you, bro. I hear you. You happy with the appointment of Tuchel as well?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know too much about his style of play. But what people say with this promising signs ahead, I guess that you can hopefully deal with the players' egos, which is one thing he's criticised for at PSG, and the context behind that. So if he could sort that issue out, hopefully he's learned from it. We can move forward as a team. But we should know we should probably be aiming for at least top 3, top 4, because our team is too good to be in the position we're in.
What I want to ask Lambs, Mason Mount. Obviously, Frank Lampard's gone. Obviously, he gave him the captaincy against Luton. Tuchel's going to come in. Obviously, we just looked at the formation there, and it looks like he's going to do a 4-2-2. We didn't even think about putting Mason Mount in that squad. Is it now going to be a case that he's going to be dropped? What was that?
I don't. I have no idea. It wasn't from my end.
Maybe my autistic brother. Let's just move on.
No, I don't think he's going to be completely dropped. I think what Tuchel will do, I think he will start rotating him in. Like Mason Mount, what I feel like he does, he brings a lot of energy to this team as well. So I feel like he could be a really good a plan B. And just to kind of echo what Alex was saying earlier, Tuchel is a smart manager, and this is what we've been complaining about Frank Lampard. When things aren't going well during the game, he doesn't really have a plan B. He can't really implement like he doesn't have a plan B, a plan C. He doesn't have a response. It's very reactionary. He's too late to make substitutions. It's very, it's very unconvincing. Like he seems very unsure about himself. Whereas Tuchel is smart enough where I feel like he will be able to probably get the best out of Mason Mount, to be honest, by rotating him into these clever formations. I feel like Mason Mount could probably slip into several different midfield roles, including possibly a DM role. And I think I was talking to you about it yesterday. Like Mason Mount could be a candidate for dropping into a DM role from time to time, because we have seen him drop deep, make those vital interceptions, and that's been important for us. So I would kind of like to see him as a defensive midfield. I feel like he could play. He could probably play behind Werner as well. I feel like he could play as number 8 as well. I feel like Tuchel is smart enough. He does have the minerals and the experience to probably get the best out of Mason Mount. But I feel like even though he should be rotated in for some games, I feel like there's certain opponents where he should be a starter.
Well, I hear you, Lambs. Lambs, you've got a bit of a little admirer in the group. He keeps writing messages. Go Lambs, sexy girl, football knowledge, marry me. Like, you got the full package by the sounds of it to this guy. So,
Thanks.
It is what it is. Anyone want to jump onto that based upon what Lambs just said? I mean,
I agree.
Lewis,
I think the thing about Mason Mount, and this something that I've repeatedly said, is that look, with the Lampard situation, I have no problem with Lampard identifying Mount to be his best player. Obviously, I don't know if that's true, but that's what it came across as Mount was the main guy in his team, and every manager identifies someone who can carry the fort, carry the system, be their main man, and drive everything through. So Mount was that guy for Lampard. I just think Lampard's assessment of the squad was wrong in that regard, where he saw Mount as this Hazard-esque type player, when really and truly Mount should have been seen as another cog. Mount is a quality player, and I think he's going to be a good player for Chelsea for a long time. However, he needs to be assessed adequately, and Mount is someone who should be a part of the squad rather than be the main man of the squad. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think someone like Tuchel will be able to assess the squad and identify that. Look, when I look at the Chelsea signings, something we didn't even touch upon in terms of Lampard getting sacked, I think I don't really care if you didn't want those signings per se. You can't, like, tell me who's been the best signing out of all our guys, because we can say Ziyech's been all right, but even his performances have slightly dropped a bit since
Mason Mount.
No, but out of the new signings, like who's been the best? Like,
probably.
Well, he benefited the most from it because of the formation was set up for him. It was accommodated
100%.
for him. So you expect him.
Let's be real, probably Mendy. Let's be real,
exactly.
probably
And
Mendy.
if Lampard spent the same amount of time he did getting Mount acquainted to the system and getting Mount being that main man to the rest of the squad, or to the better players, in my opinion, the guys who would be able to carry our team, then we would be in a better situation. Like, when system fails, individual brilliance should be able to pull through and get you some results at least, like we've seen Ollie do for his team. Like,
but Dan, I don't think it's just that though. I think it was his management of it. I think him using Mount as a like a temple stone and playing everyone around him isn't the issue. Because if you did that with any good player, we wouldn't be complaining. Did that around one and no one known. Issue is his management around that. His team squad management was poor. As with the breakdown, the Athletic said that he couldn't handle the players being upset. He couldn't speak to some players off the pitch, and that's what causes and contributes to the Mount agenda, because it looks as though he's just like shoehorning in a Mount and leaving everyone else to adrift, which is true. But if he had focused on Werner or Havertz, I don't think, or Ziyech, no one would be complaining, going, "Oh, he shouldn't have done that." But it's how you deal with it. And with, like Lam said, Tuchel will probably figured out quite quickly how to do it properly. So hopefully that's what we can see.
No, I agree with that. These guys don't become bad players overnight. Like Werner, if we make the argument, let's look at it. Let's look at just the facts. When Werner came to Chelsea, he arguably came to Chelsea as the 4th best striker in the world based on his stats. Like he had goal contributions that were through the roof, that only were rivaled by like Messi, Ronaldo, and Lewandowski. So Werner was a good player. Havertz, another quality player at Bayer Leverkusen, was doing bits for them. Like, so these guys don't become bad players overnight. You got a player in Ziyech who was coming in his prime. Like, I just fail to see how these players could have regressed so much. Like I said on many other streams, those 3 players, Havertz, Werner, and Ziyech, came into the club with 100+ goal contributions, goals and assists together. I don't think they have more than 15 in the Premier League for us. That's not good enough.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, I hear everything you're saying, bro. Alex, answer this question, bro. Obviously, you'll know better in terms of Tuchel. You've studied him quite a lot. Do you think you'll rate Jorginho, or do you think Jorginho will get in the team more so now? Do you think he'll be useful for his type of style play?
It's a good question. It depends with Tuchel, because, so I said he will utilise different players around the team. Like, he used Eric Choupo-Moting really well at PSG. No one would have predicted that. And he even brought players in like Michel Bakker and playing him at left wing at PSG. He does ridiculous things. The issue with Jorginho is, I can't remember which one of you guys touched on it, but Jorginho is really poor in terms of his athleticism. Like, he'll take, like, I think I could outpace him. He's so slow, and that's the issue with him in terms of what Tuchel will do. I think the one thing I can bet on, more than formation or anything, is that he will try and invigorate a pressing style in the same way Hasenhüttl was with Southampton. It depends how good Jorginho will be at that. Because whenever Chelsea get countered, Jorginho is the last person you want running backwards. So it will depend on what Jorginho with what Tuchel thinks Jorginho can offer. But I think Jorginho might be one of the lower priorities, to be fair.
I hear you, bro. I hear you on that one. Slens Talk says, I do not see Roman ever appointing a novice and rookie manager with an eye for a long-term project. Again, do we agree with that, Lewis?
This one was just a PR move, and it's clear to see now, and with all the stuff that's coming out of the Athletic anyway, it was clear that the only reason Lampard had this job was because of how bad of a position we were in by the end of the 18-19 season with the transfer ban and Eden Hazard leave it. It's the same thing that's happened with Arsenal. What do you do when you're in a bad state of form? You can't really change anything in the short term. You get a good face in that you know the fans are going to back. Same thing that's happened with Arsenal. Same thing that's happened with us as well. They gave us a face that we were going to back, and we backed Frank Lampard until it was clear and obvious that Lampard wasn't the man for the job. I don't know whether they thought he would work for this second season or not, but the first season was good enough that they gave him a second run of it. Now, obviously, it's not working, so they had to get rid of it. I don't think it's a case where they'll never appoint a novice or a rookie manager, because same way it's the definition of what you see as a rookie. Is a rookie someone with no experience? Is a rookie someone that hasn't won anything? If it's someone that hasn't won anything, you can take Nagelsmann out of that discussion as well, and I would have taken Nagelsmann as an option too. So it all depends on the way you look at it, but I think if we're in the same sort of situation again, God hoping we never are, maybe we'll end up doing this. But same way, hopefully the fans look at this and they start taking off their Frank Lampard goggles when it comes to certain managers.
Here's a question, though. So here's a question. Do any of you guys, it's an extreme one, would any of you guys rather Sarri just stayed on throughout all of this? Or are you happy Lampard came in for this year?
I'll be back. Keep going, yeah.
I think when I it's a hard question to answer just blindly. I think it's more so I would have kept Sarri on if all the chemistry was there. Like, I know with Sarri there was a lot of problems, like with the board, like the players he wanted, the board didn't really want. Like it took them so long. Like he wanted Higuain in the summer, and they ended up getting him in January. Like it's dumb. If you're gonna do that with your manager, then there's no point in doing that. Like, and then obviously with the players, they were bored. They were saying repetitive training cycles, and it's been a repetitive theme with Chelsea squads in general. They don't like repetitive systems. So I guess Tuchel's like a fresher breath air. Fresher breath air? Does that make sense?
Yes.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just fresh ideas basically, and an attacking style that could be implemented in the team. But I would say no, based on like the big thing about Chelsea is the manager needs to get along with the board, which is not an easy feat. And I guess that's the same thing with Tuchel. And it's interesting that you said his tenure will be defined by whether or not he can get along with the board as opposed to the results, which puts him in good stead, because if he can get results, he will have the fans on side. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's about the board, less so about the fans. So I'd say no.
What do you guys think then? Because I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans and a lot of other fans as well, like going straight for the board. Do you think Chelsea, like this cycle of getting a manager and seeing him leave, getting a manager, seeing him leave? Do you think this is a problem with managers they're hiring, or
No.
a problem with the board?
Let me tell you something. Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say the reason why this is happening now is because money's changed the game. So basically, the reason why you're seeing all these fluctuations in managers is because money dictates what decisions you make. Because it's all business orientated. So back in the day when Wenger and that, and Mourinho and Alex Ferguson, how could I forget, were managing, it wasn't the same. Like it was kind of transitioning. So you had more time to do things. Whereas nowadays, like Chelsea can't afford to end up ninth with no trophies. That would be massive hindrance on our sponsorship deals, our potential players we can get like Haaland. So it's money. That's the only reason why this happens. Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, and it's one of them things where the way I look at it now is that, yeah, he's gone. It was always going to come. You know, we've got a new manager coming in. My next question to all of you is, I'll start with Lewis on this one. What do you expect if it is Tuchel, which it sounds like it is? I think it's being confirmed as well from looking at my phone. What do you expect him to do by the end of the season in terms of achievements? You still expecting Champions League? Do you think we still need to win something? What are you expecting from him from now moving forward?
Standards stay the same. Top 4 and a trophy. If you can go for the FA Cup, go for the FA Cup. I still think we're one of the favourites of that competition. Top 4, like we're not even that far off the top 4 race, because everyone else has been absolute trash this season. So I see no reason why we can't still go for that. I'm just double checking that as well. So right now we're 29 points. We're 5 points off 4th place. Yeah, top 4 can still be done. Right now we're 11 points off the title, which that one I'm not going to talk too much about. But depending on form, because like I said, we still have one of the best squads in the league. Maybe. I'm not going to speak too much about that, because small steps, we can't get ahead of ourselves just like we did 3 months ago. But top 4 on the trophy, easily get that. Top 4 should still be the basic minimum. Otherwise, he'll probably be out of a job as well, and we'll end up looking for another manager.
Can you imagine that?
Guys, I'm going to have to jump off as well, because I need to set up for another stream. You lot take care, all right?
Lewis, thanks for coming on, bro. Appreciate it, man. Take care, yourself. See you later, bro. Yeah, same question to you, Lambs. What are you expecting from Tuchel from now to the end of the season?
Yeah, pretty much do have to echo mostly what Lewis said. We are not that. Thankfully, because this has just been such a crazy season. We've had teams come out of nowhere. It's not even really a top 6 anymore. It's more like a top 9 or top 10, to be honest. That's how close it's been. We've got teams coming out competing for those top 4 places, like Leicester, like Everton. Now we've got to take them seriously. We can't deny Aston Villa have got off to an amazing start. They've really, really turned it around from the back end, from almost getting relegated last season as well. We've got to take them seriously as well. Southampton, are they above us yet? Or are they above us?
They're below us. Are they above us?
Okay.
I don't know. I can't remember.
They're below us.
I think.
Let's have a look at the four. Let me get the table.
West Ham were above us, right? West Ham were above us, right? And it's just it's gotten to that point where and these are all teams that have been playing very well, putting in very good performances. on top of, you know, your Cities, your Liverpools, your Manchester United. So and your Spurs, forgot about them too as well. So the competition has increased. But at the end of the day, if we can go on a run of form, because we do have the squad, we and it can be brought out of us with the right management and leadership, then we can get top 4. And I feel like now's a good time for him to go, considering we are still in the Champions League and we haven't been knocked out. We do have quite difficult opponents in Atletico Madrid coming up, and we know their defensive record has been absolutely unreal this season. So that's going to be a difficult task. And if Frank Lampard was still in charge coming into that game, I don't think many of us would have had much faith that we could progress. But now that Tuchel's coming in, okay, he got PSG to a Champions League final. The guy has the minerals. Now I'm not going to say we're going to win that game, because I still don't believe that, but I feel like we have more of a chance to win a trophy, and we're still in the FA Cup as well. If we can go for that, then why not? But we're not far off top 4. We should still try and go for top 4, but the league is, I feel like it's too late. That's out of the question.
Well, I'm looking at the league at the moment. Obviously, we played 19. 1-8, drawn 5, lost 6. That's shocking. But you look at everyone around us. Southampton played 18, so they've got a game in hand. Arsenal on 19, and then you look at Aston Villa 17, so they've still got 2 games in hand. Everton 2 games in hand, which is going to be 3 soon. Tottenham, you know, 1 game in hand or 2. So, like, we've just really got to kick on. We really have to just kick on now and try and accumulate as many points as possible. Look, we're on 29 points. From there to Liverpool is what? Is that 6 points?
5.
Is that 7 points? 5, yeah? All right, cool.
5, yeah.
5 points from here to there. We're not miles away. There is still, you know, but then you've got to look at who's in between it and the games in hands they've got as well. So it really depends what happens from now. And the most unpredictable thing with it all is that we're all not on the same games played. And usually when you go through a season, you always have, you know, everyone on the same level of games, or maybe 1 game in hand, this and the other. But it's just everywhere at the moment because of COVID and everything and what's happened in the world. It seems to just be like up and down here and there. It doesn't know what to do, does it? So it's a very intense league, and I think it'll be like this all the way to the end of the season. Like, you would probably see Chelsea 2 points off top 4 with like 5 games to go. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and it's from like 4th to like 9th, and anyone could get Champions League. Like that won't surprise me. Do you know what I mean? If that's the case. But I don't know. I mean, moving on, Alex, what's your thoughts, bro? What do you think? What do you expect from Tuchel coming in terms of achieving for this year, just in this season only?
It's hard to predict. I mean, you've just pointed out how ridiculous this table is. It's really hard to predict if he can get into the top 4, just because of the points are between us and the teams ahead and the games in hand, etc., etc. And I don't think if he doesn't get top 4 or even Europa League, he'll be fired or anything like that. Because I think Chelsea will look at what happened with Mourinho and Tottenham. You know, they didn't finish in the Champions League last season when he made that his aim, and they stuck with him, and it's bear fruit so far now. But what I expect from Tuchel, and I think what we can all expect and hope for most certainly, is that by the end of the season, you'll see a bit more of a clear identity. If you remember the Europa League final under Sarri, when Chelsea probably played their best football of the season, they were tearing Arsenal apart with one-touch passing, with high-tempo play, with good patterns of play and off the ball movement. I think that's what you'd want to hope for Tuchel. And to be honest, what I'd hope for as well is that, because I don't want to write any more notes on Chelsea games and have to write side to side to side to side to side. Hopefully, we'll be able to create from central positions, and I think that's what he will bring.
Wicked, bro. Wicked. Great analysis as always. Ches, what are you thinking, bro?
About what in particular?
In terms of Tuchel and what you expect for him to do from now to the end of the season with the current squad. Does he need to get top 4? Do you expect him to get a trophy? What are you expecting?
Oh, I'll be real. I'm definitely expecting minimum of top 4 and an FA Cup or far in the Champions League. If you've got like semi-final and we get past this commentary quite convincingly, or we do well, then we get to semi-final and get knocked out. That's good progress. And definitely top 4. I think top 4, like you said, is reachable. But I don't think we should lower expectations because Lampard flopped here. We didn't do a great job.
Yeah.
I think we should still aim for as high as we can, seeing as it's still mathematically possible and still plausible to happen. So I don't think we should be like, oh, the season's over. Let's just see what you can do with the squad, because he is a top manager. He's got experience. So we do expect some things. We can't give him a blight because Lampard did so badly. So yeah, top 4 and FA Cup or semi-final Champions League.
I hear you. And I'm going to finish off with Danny Boy. What are you saying, bro?
Yeah, no, that's what it comes down to, really. It's funny. We're back in the same situation we were in when Sarri or any of the other managers were appointed, where our expectations go back up, especially when our connection to the manager might not be there. Do you get what I'm saying? As Chelsea fans, we build our connection with our managers when they produce results. That's why Lampard was such a different option and a different breed in terms of the managers we've appointed. So, I mean, in terms of this season, I've already said we have to look as well into the 18-month contract as well. Like, Roman doesn't want to have a situation where he's trying to buy out another contract that's like 2 years into it, and there's still 2 more years left. Do you get what I'm saying? So 18 months is a good amount of time to assess the situation this time next season and make decisions from there. But in terms of this season, I don't expect top 4. We think we can get it, but I don't expect it, because at the same time as us getting form, other teams could have form and they have the advantage over us. But the FA Cup is definitely a shout, and I think that's definitely there because we've got Barnsley next, who I expect to beat, and you just never know from there. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man.
We'll see. No, I agree, bro. I agree. I expect him to come in. I expect him to challenge for top 4. Do I expect a trophy? It'd be nice. I'm not going to sit here and hold him against it, to be honest. But providing we can get back in the top 4 and accumulate some consistency and get some points on the board, then I'll be more than happy for that right now. Alex, bro, no, it's going to be close off. I'm actually finishing off now as well. But just to let you all know, we are doing the fans call-in show. Not sure if it's going to be later or tomorrow. We'll definitely let you know, so that will allow you guys to come on and have your say about this, which we'll get back to you on Twitter, so you will know about that. Just keep an eye out on that. If you haven't liked already, because 54 people here still, please smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe as well. We appreciate all your support. Yeah, guys, thanks for coming on. It was a pretty good show. I enjoyed that. It was in depth. Lambs, where can people find you?
100%. Well, yeah, like Jem said earlier, I'm on the panel for the Chelsea Ladies Show here on GNA TV. So we're here on Friday. You can also find me on the Midnight Vibe Show on the Football Terrace. So yeah, that should be an interesting one this week.
Yeah.
Because of everything that's happened. Here and there on Monsters live streams as well. I also do a show with Bits and Bobs, so we talk about the football, what's been going on, talk about racism, politics, and stuff like that related to football as well. And yes, that's it. And you can also find me on Instagram. That's the only socials that I have. So it's at Lamia Ahmed. So I'm too busy to have anything else. Even Instagram's too much sometimes. Yeah.
Wicked. Thank you, Lambs. Alex, again, pleasure having you on, bro. This is your second time on GNA TV. The next show we'll be doing will be the Global View, where we delve into not only Chelsea stuff, but outside of the Premier League, haven't we? French League. You also do a bit in the Dutch League, didn't you? So it's good to always have you on. But where can people find you, bro?
Thanks very much, man. Everyone can find me at EuroExpert _ on Twitter. All the things that I get involved in, you can see what I'm up to there and my live thoughts, and more tweets throughout the rest of the day about Chelsea, which will be always fun.
Wicked, bro. Thank you. Cheers. Where can we find you, bro?
ChesX1 on Insta and Cheslea _English on Twitter, and I go on the Football Terrace and Indiana shows on GNA TV. So yeah, log into all of those.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And then Mr. Eyes on the Ball TV, let them know what we're doing later as well and where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, man. Eyes on the Ball TV, or obviously if you want to see my personal tweets as displayed on screen, but Eyes on the Ball TV, you've got a live show at 7:30. Will be a short one, as you can imagine, because I've got so many other streams and it's being dragged everywhere. But Eyes on the Ball TV should be a good one. It's going to be an open call session as well. So the fans who want to come in and just speak their mind, really. Yeah, it should be a good one.
Appreciate it, guys. I appreciate you all coming on as always. We had a big live viewing today. We pushed nearly, I think, 80 odd live viewers at once chilling with us, which was nice and good for the show. We appreciate your support as always. It's a shame Frank Lampard had to leave. Let's be serious. It was coming though, but it is what it is. You can find me, Sophia, and ads in the description below. Our links to our Twitters are there. We've also got a Discord channel as well that you can all jump on and have a chat still if you want to continue on from here as well. So yeah, guys, again, we appreciate it. And we will see you again all very, very soon. Peace.
It's like it's playtime when it's free time. In the dance, they have to take a glance, but we stepping